you didn't see this by chance, maybe it slipped under your radar. For the second year in a row, the top two teams in the NFL to work for are, who do you think they are? The Miami Dolphins and the Minnesota Vikings. According to the NFL Players Association's annual survey evaluating workplace environment. Oh, man. So the NFLPA claims that they received responses from 77% of its membership. So of the 1,695 players, 77% responded, averaging 52 responses per team. All players, including those who aren't really real NFL players on the practice squad, could have participated in this. So let us discuss what stands out about this. What stands out about this annual NFLPA report complaining about NFL facilities? Because that's really what this is about. It's about complaining, publicly shaming the aristocrats that own the NFL teams to fix things. So I've got Hall & Oates, Geneva Convention, and cotton candy. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to mollywop this story. We're going to mollywop this story. So, I'm trying to determine whether I have an unpopular opinion or I have a popular opinion, because I do believe that social media is the matrix, and I was reading some of the feedback here, and many people were just shaming the teams that didn't grade well on this, and my take's a little different. And I'm going to give you my take here, and then you can call up and send your messages in if you want on X as well. But my take on this, reading about NFL players whining about the team facility, the amenities, the perks, the creature comforts, makes me want to puke in my mouth. It does. I will literally puke in my mouth. And here's why. The whole thing is the theater of the absurd. And it's one of those things that has changed in my lifetime, where the NFL player used to use it as a badge of honor that they were grizzled, they were tough, they were weather beaten, that adversity was a wonderful thing, and that it made them tougher, right? Put some hair on their chest, that whole thing. And you talk to the old school NFL guys, they're like, well, we practiced at high schools, we traveled commercial, we weren't given any food or anything like that. There was one trainer for the whole team, and that was that. And now you have these spoiled athletes, the modern athlete, the wussification of the athlete, that they are put on a pedestal that they have no problem. Like, I would be embarrassed if I worked for the NFL Players Association to send this out. I'd be like, Mike, this is so unbecoming. This is so emasculating, and they have no problem with it. It's now a yearly thing. They're complaining like they work in a sweatshop or something like that. Try getting a real job and see what's life's like when you're not coddled. They just come across as spoiled. So we should get out the world's smallest violin, and we can play some music. For example, I don't know if you saw this or not, the Bengals and Saints, can you believe they complain that they were not provided 3 meals a day? At work, they're not provided 3 meals a day. And they had the chutzpah to complain about that. What in the world? Now, Cincinnati took a beating on this. Cincinnati is the only team that does not offer daycare or a family room during home games. Oh, my God. You have to watch your own children. You have to have somebody watch your kids, like a relative, or hire a babysitter. Can you imagine a world where that takes place? What are we doing? Also, the Bengals took some crap because they only have a part-time nutritionist 2 times a week. God. That's why they lost. They didn't have a full-time nutritionist. They would have made the playoffs if they had a full-time nutritionist. Blasphemy. Arizona took some crap in this thing. Arizona, it turns out, does not give pregame sideline passes to family members. Boo-hoo-hoo. You talk about cruel and unusual punishment. Now, the Buffalo Bills, the Indianapolis Colts, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Carolina Panthers. I hope you're sitting down for this, because this is going to really upset you. This is going to really cause you some heartache. The Bills, Colts, Eagles, and Panthers make players sit in coach and the coaches and the personnel for the team sit in first class. Sweet baby Jesus. Let me repeat that. The Bills, Colts, Panthers, and Eagles make their players sit and coach, and the coaches and the staff sit in first class. Can we all say a prayer? All right, 37% of the Commander players report ongoing plumbing problems. Oh, can you imagine working somewhere where the plumbing's not perfect? 44% of Bucs players also say they've got plumbing problems, and they say there's a persistent bad odor that remains around the team facility. Holy crap on a cracker. How about the Jets? The Jets, I'm not done, by the way. The Jets players complained the locker room carpet is stained and worn out. It's been there for too long. The Bolts, they have the balls, the Chargers, to charge, because they're the Chargers, their players for daycare. They offer daycare. You got to pay for it. Can you imagine? Oh, what are we doing? And even worse, the Kansas City Chiefs. Home game. They stay at a hotel. All these teams stay at a hotel at home. But the Chiefs hotel they stay at for home games is so dirty. How dirty is it? It's so dirty that some players say, I don't even know if I can say this on terrestrial radio. Some of the Chiefs players claim they had to wear shoes in their room. OMG. Jiminy Christmas. They needed slippers. Can you imagine what kind of vermin these players have to live in? Oh my God. I can go on and on. I mean, there's tons of this stuff. Now, all of this plays like the old Hall & Oates song, because there's no new Hall & Oates song, Out of Touch, right? We should start a GoFundMe for the fellas. It's real hardship in the NFL today. You know what? I might have to stop watching the NFL because of the fact that certain teams don't get 3 meals a day and certain players have to sit and coach on flights. Of course, they leave out the part they each get like 2 or 3 seats to lay down on, but anyway. All right, now, page 2. Does anything in the player report actually demand attention? I gave you a bunch of crazy stuff. So, yes, I'm not a total douche, okay? There's some stuff in here that I am sympathetic with, and I've got the Daily Double. The Daily Double! I've got the Daily Double. Like, for example, the New England Patriots players bellyached about having to fly in a outdated team plane. And I don't really care about that. They were complaining because they have ashtrays. You haven't been allowed to fly on a flight in at least a generation in the United States, and internationally, I think, banned also. So I don't care that they have a plane that has ashtrays. It's an older plane, and usually older planes are made better than the newer planes. But they also complained that the plane lacks Wi-Fi. And that is a legitimate complaint. Now, I do sympathize with the Patriots in 2025. That is a violation of the Geneva Convention. You have to have functioning Wi-Fi. And I don't fly that much. I usually fly 2 or 3 times a year, maybe, sometimes less than that. But when I fly, every airline says, I'll get Wi-Fi or whatever, or you have a certain phone, you get free Wi-Fi. And I've taken some flights, and the Wi-Fi is broken, and it is a nightmare. It is a freaking nightmare. So you got to have the Wi-Fi. Somebody needs to be court-martialed. Now, my favorite of all stories that came out of this, and every single business has someone like this. The Atlanta Falcons had the most on-brand gripe you can possibly have. So, apparently one of the Falcon players has been, how can we say this? They've had the Tennessee trots. They've had dysentery. They have been blowing up the bathroom at the team facility so badly. How badly? So badly that at least 1 or 2 players, maybe even more than that, needed to mention it in the survey. Well, they don't call them the Dirty Birds for nothing, and that does sound like a TikTok challenge, right? A few years back, What they should do is find the guilty Falcons player and charge them with criminal mischief, right? I mean, my God. We have someone at our place at Fox Sports Radio that also is noted for destroying the bathroom. And it's a no-fly zone for at least an hour once this person goes to the bathroom. All right, now, last word. So thumbs up or thumbs down, is there a correlation between grading highly among NFL players and winning championships, winning playoff games? So the data is a thumbs down. So I'm going to go thumbs down. This whole story, cotton candy. It is cotton candy. It is fluff. Fluffy McFluff is what it is. The Dolphins, for example, were the NFL's highest-ranked team. How much of that you think is Miami living in South Florida, and how much of that is the Dolphins? Well, the Dolphins were the NFL's highest-ranked team when it comes to pampering players. They had a losing record. They missed the playoffs. The top 5 graded teams, which include the Vikings, who won 14 games, the top 5 teams on this went 0-2 in the playoffs. The bottom 5 graded teams went 0-1 in the playoffs. And the Chiefs and the Eagles were not in the very top. The Chiefs were pretty low. Now, as far as the coaches, Dan Quinn was ranked as the number 1 head coach. He was the top head coach in the survey. Followed by Raheem Morris, who was number 2. Number 2. Yeah. Yeah, of course, the Falcons at many points this year took a number 2. Also grading highly, Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, Andy Reid in Kansas City, Dan Campbell in Motown, and Mike McDaniel also did well. Now, the lowest graded coaches, they got a C. Now, C's get degrees, but they don't normally keep their jobs. That would be Kevin Stefanski, Doug Peterson, and Matt Eberflus. Now, 2 of those 3 coaches are no longer head coaches. Doug Peterson has been excommunicated from Jacksonville, and Matt Eberflus is now the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys.